Okay, so the idea behind De Morgan's Law is when you want to negate a compound statement. Okay, so we know to negate a statement, you're basically like throwing a not in there. If I say the statement is the sky is blue, then the negation of that statement is going to be the sky is not blue. But what if I have two statements put together with either and or? So when you want to negate, so that's the symbol for negation. So if you want to negate two statements, so I'll call my statements P, Q. If those are connected by and I want to negate that statement, so P and Q, the sky is blue and my desk is brown, then you want to like change the truth value of that. So that compound statement is either true or false, and the negation of it will be the opposite. So to negate that, we're going to negate the first statement, so the sky is not blue. We're going to negate the second statement, my desk is not brown. And then we're going to change the symbol between them to or. So in my mind, this is not like formal, but like I always kind of think of and or as like opposites. Like they're like opposite symbols. They kind of look the same. So when you're negating, you want to negate like all three pieces. So you negate the P to make it not P. You'll negate the and to make it or, and then you'll change the Q to make it not Q. And now this same idea works if those statements were connected with or. So let's say we have not P or Q. We're going to negate everything, so we're going to change everything. So first we'll change the P statement to not P. Then we'll change the symbol, which is or, we'll change it to and then the Q statement will change to not Q. So when you're negating a compound statement, you change every part. So you change the component statements, and then you also change the connector, which in this case is from and or. So here in this question, this is just an example from Alex. The statement is, it is not the case that novels are true stories and there are 4 books in a trilogy. So it wants us to write this an equivalent to, it is not the case that novels are true stories and there are 4 books in a trilogy. So I'm going to use the symbol N for novels are true stories, and I'm going to use the symbol, I guess, B for 4 books in a trilogy. And then the symbol for and, it looks like an A without the cross. And then these words, it is not the case that, is like writing like parentheses around this and putting a not in front of it. So if I wanted to the negation of that statement and B, it would be not N or not B. Now how would I write that in words? So I have N was novels are true stories. So not N is going to be novels are not true stories. And then the symbol or. Now let's do not B. So B was the statement there are 4 books in a trilogy. So the negation of that, we're throwing the not in there. So we're saying, or there are not 4 books in a trilogy. So now when you're doing logic, the hardest part is not using your real brain. So like you might read something that makes sense in English, but doesn't make sense in logic. Or you'll use the logic rules, and what you write down or what you read looks kind of dumb in English, right? Like it's very wordy, but we're applying those logic rules like one at a time. So you want to use your math brain, not your real brain. So now let's try part B. Here they give us the statement, we sold peas at the market, or I was the cashier, and then they want you to negate that, which is the equivalent of throwing that not on the outside. So what they want is the negation of this statement. So now we're gonna call, obviously we sold peas at the market, it has to be a P. And then I was the cashier, so we'll call that C. And I'm connecting with or. So the statement that I have right now is P or C. And what they want me to do is negate that. So I'm going to negate both components, not P, not C, and I'm going to change my connector, so from or to and. So now we just have to write that in words. P was we sold peas at the market, so not P is we did not sell peas at the market. And then and, not C. So C was I was the cashier. So to negate that, I would say I was not the cashier. So now to put this in like real life terms, let's say that I told my kids that they needed to clean their room and get dressed. Okay, so that is an and statement. If they didn't do that, right, then that would be the opposite of they cleaned their room and they got dressed. So if they didn't satisfy the requirement of both cleaning their room and getting dressed, then either they did not clean their room or they did not get dressed. And remember, this or is an inclusive or, and what that means is you could have both of them happen.